Okay, group, we're going to have a little bit of bonus um, sex on Wednesdays. This is, I guess, more like sex as a concept or theoretical instead of my own experience. um, but today I want to talk about my bracelets. And I knew I wanted to talk about my bracelets, but the more I get into these videos, the more like seriously I take them. Like I want to, make a point or not necessarily be profound, but I want to treat the inquiry seriously. I've always wanted to write real literature and do real theology. So I want to, explore these ideas um, seriously, I guess. So I was like, how can I theologically get into my bracelets? How can I make a point besides how fun they are? And here's my point, and I got some help from The Education of Henry Adams, which I talked about a couple weeks ago with his book on the cathedrals in France and the Virgin Mary. Mr. Adams is not a super lovable guy. He's extremely intellectual, and I guess people like the introduction describes his humor as dry. And I'm not so into the dry humor, I'm more of like a total slapstick. um, so he's not super lovable. In this whole book, it's about him. It's his educational autobiography, but he refers to himself in the third person, like he refers to himself as Adams, which is totally a thing that he would do. But I have about 75 pages left. As you can see, I have big job ahead of me transcribing my notes. Um, but I'm almost done and I love him. Like I genuinely love him. Like he's completely won me over just the way he is. Um, but he talks more about what he talked about in his other book, his other memoir. He talks about like the idea of the Virgin Mary or a female deity, and how that's pretty much incompatible in a lot of ways with the American mind. And he says here, anyone brought up among Puritans knew that sex was sin. In any previous age, sex was strength. And I don't know if I have Puritan ancestors, maybe. But I do know that I have Mennonite ancestors not too far back. Like my mom has said that her grandmother, they were Mennonite. And my grandpa didn't want my mom to get her ears pierced as a young girl because he grew up that you didn't wear any ornaments because that distracted you from God. And I know that there's the tradition of like covering your hair. Like the more you get into these things, the more you see that women have been kind of trained to desexualize themselves, often in the name of religion. And I was reading this book in the family book club by Bill Bryson called The Body. And again, maybe these are obvious things to everybody else, but he's talking about like how hair has been used for like sexual attraction. Like that's one of the purposes of it. And he's like, everybody says your eyebrows are to keep dirt from getting in your eyes, but he's like, but also your eyebrows are really good at expressing things. And he talks about like body hair. Like maybe you have armpit hair and pubic hair, like to draw attention to those areas. So it seems very interesting to me that, like, biologically, we have these things that are literally designed for us to, like, be sexual. And then there's certain religions, including my ancestors, and I would say, like, at least in the religious milieu or whatever that I'm familiar with, that stuff was not encouraged. Like it didn't go so far as to like cover your hair or obviously I could wear ornaments. But in the not too recent past, you were supposed to do those things. And still, I've read plenty of stories about, Victorian women and covering everything up. There's just such a strong tradition that I'm familiar with to cover everything up. And I just want to say, I am having way more fun now that I've decided not to do that. Not that I like consciously did that, but again, it's part of my awakening process. And so, like these bracelets. And look at this. This is a first. This is a literal first. I have never worn an anklet before. I'll show you guys. And I love wearing it. Like I was at the dentist the other day, my feet were out and I saw my little anklet on. And my bracelet feels good on my wrist. It says um, vibes because I feel like I'm giving out, sexy, positive vibes. So I wish, I don't know, it's hard to say, but I feel like my great grandma didn't have a great life. I mean, I really think and hope she took a lot of comfort in Jesus. But at the same time, I feel like she might have missed out on the fun of wearing ornaments and like being a woman, because that's fun too. um, so I guess I'm just saying that I'm wearing these bracelets, wearing the anklets to draw attention to these parts of myself, just like, pubic hair. What does these bracelets and pubic hair have in common? To draw attention to the beautiful sexualized nature of the body. So, anyway, thanks for listening. And truly, you guys, I appreciate your support so much. And I haven't said it in a while. Please subscribe to my videos and tell your friends. Bye.